Welcome to the Lost Lowdown, podcast 147, with your hosts, Claude and Justin.
What's up, guys?
We're back, continuing our Season 3 commentary series with episode 317, Catch-22.
Oh, no. There's a catch-22.
There's a catch!
How many catches are there?
Catch-20, Catch-21, Catch-22. 22 catches. That's my British.
Excellent. I can't see the difference. Yeah, super exciting. Seminal episode. Is it?
Isn't it?
I would say it is. Is it? We'll see.
Not?
It may or may not be a seminal episode.
Since I don't remember anything from it, I'm going to say no.
All right. Well, that's a safe bet. So, yeah, what can you say? I mean, it's an episode, right?
You can say that.
So before we get started, I wanted to run through a few fun things.
Wait. This is not a Fun Things podcast.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Well, let me put this away.
Since when did you think we did Fun Things?
Sorry. God, I really planned for the wrong podcast. Obviously, I should have planned.
All right, this one time, I guess we can do something fun.
Okay.
Just because you planned it.
Okay. Obviously, this won't fit at all. I'm sorry. If you want to tune out, just skip ahead 5-10 minutes.
This is a fun alert.
It won't go on for very long. Don't worry. But I, Justin of the Lost Lowdown, have been listening to the Lost Lowdown recently.
Whoa, meta.
Yeah, which is crazy because on the last podcast, one of us, I think there was some discussion of what we said about it in the old days, and that kind of got me curious, and so I downloaded Lost Lowdown podcast number 28.
Wow.
The one in which we discussed one of us.
We're on 147 now, and you went back to 28.
Yeah.
What year was that?
2007.
Wow.
Yeah, it was released on April 17th, 2007.
A little over 8 years ago.
Yeah, 8 years ago, which is
wow.
really, really crazy.
Podcast, if that podcast was a baby, it'd be 8 years old right now.
Yeah, you're right. And it was hilarious. I don't know, so I ended up listening. I didn't want to go ahead and sort of spoil myself, so I started listening backwards. So then I listened to 28, 27, 26, and I'm in the middle of 25.
Wow.
So I've heard, I've listened to us a lot, so, I have an idea of how we were. And, at the beginning of that one of us, I don't know if I was in a bad mood or, I'm kind of an asshole for the first hour or so. So, I'm sorry.
Tell me about it.
I'm sorry to the audience and to you as my co-host that you had to put up with me. I don't know why. I was, really irritated for some reason. I don't know what was going on. I was, worried I was like that all the time. Mm-hmm. But luckily, the second, third, fourth hour are pretty good. I think I come out of it, and the previous podcast, I don't really hear it in those. It's just there was something going on. I don't know what it was. I don't remember. Maybe I was angry about grad school or something. I don't know. But yeah, sorry about that. But nonetheless, it was actually really fun to listen to.
Nice.
And so I started scribbling notes down, just a few little things to bring up that I thought were hilarious.
Okay, cool.
So we thought the guy who plays Richard Alpert, we thought his name was Nestor Campbell.
Nice.
That was fun to listen to because his name is not a really common name, at least not, in the United States. And so, it at a glance, it looks like it. So.
Wait, his name is not Nestor Campbell?
No, it's Nestor Carbonell.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that's what I said, Nestor Campbell.
Yeah, didn't you hear me? Yeah. You had the theory that the woman who dies, under Juliet's watch, is Ethan's wife. Which I thought was an interesting theory because they do reveal in a later Missing Pieces that his wife did die in those circumstances, and
Yeah.
so there's actually some. I mean, they didn't say that, but it was a good theory.
Nice.
I, you made an X-Files reference in that episode. I hadn't seen the show yet. I made an X-Files reference on the recent episode, which is strange. Weird coincidence. I
We
don't
took
know.
turns 8 years apart.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why.
What was my X-Files reference?
You just talked about. You talked about. There was something in the show that reminded you of the X-Files.
Wow.
But you were mainly talking about like how boring it is.
How boring the X-Files was?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I mean, it was pretty amusing. You were like, I used to watch in the 90s, but like now it's really boring.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Like I went back recently at
Check it
some
out.
point to look at it, and it
Yeah.
wasn't great.
Yeah. Which
Like now, you're watching it for the first time.
yeah, I'm in season 6, and I mean, some of the episodes, it's definitely a very hit or miss show. There are definitely horrible episodes, and there are great ones, and there are mediocre ones, and it's not very consistent.
Yeah.
But when it delivers a good one, it's great, I think. And so you just keep watching, hoping for those. At least that's what I do.
Yeah.
It'll be weird when Robert Patrick shows up.
Yep.
Let's see. One of the things I was a real asshole about was the airport. And I think it's never really explained, but like, they show Juliet in what's ostensibly an airport. I mean, there's a sign up for some aviation company.
Oh yeah. So when she's gonna join Middleos and she's at the quote unquote airport. So we talked about that in the last commentary podcast about like she pulls up to the security gate. I'm thinking it's supposed to be Middleos, like their lab. Right. And you're thinking that's the airport.
I think maybe just because I remembered there's a scene in an airport.
There's a scene in an airport. Yeah, because after she goes to the gate, she gets in a van. Presumably the van takes her to the airport terminal.
Yeah.
Which I think is possible, but it's weird. Like maybe the idea is Middleos has their own private airport, so it's both things.
So like, yeah, I mean, so on the podcast you were thinking it was sort of a sham, and that they actually took the submarine, from Miami to the island, which would be, quite a trip. And I was thinking that, and it's just weird that we don't know the answer. Like, I don't know why this is a mystery, but I was thinking that they did take a plane somewhere else and then got on the submarine to the island, and that's why they were at the airport. I think it's bizarre that they show them in an airport and then the next scene is she arrives on the island in the submarine and you're just like, okay, so what happened exactly? She's knocked out the whole time, so like it's kind of ambiguous. They could have created a fake airport. I don't know why they would do that exactly.
Well, the airport doesn't have to be fake. They just don't have to use it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. But it's sort of like because Juliet wakes up in a submarine, like why would they want her to think she's in an airport when she's just going to wake up in a submarine and she's knocked out the whole time anyway? You know what I mean? It just
I think at some level the idea is it's like when you take somebody to your hideout, you don't want them to know how you got there. So I think that's why she's being knocked out in general.
Yeah.
Because like another question is why, if they are going to get on the plane, why not knock her out on the plane?
Right.
Instead of before she gets on the plane.
Yeah.
Because that means they got to carry this unconscious woman onto a plane and then carry her onto a submarine, which will be awkward.
Right.
Nothing to see here, folks. Just carrying this unconscious woman.
Right.
But so part of me just thinks they set it up that way, or they depict it that way, just to confuse us about, much like Juliet. Like we don't get to see the connecting dots of how they got to the island. Only the beginning and end, but So what else do we say about that?
Yeah. It was just like I thought the airport was real, and you thought like it wasn't necessarily. It was just it didn't really need to be such a heated debate. I don't really understand why I was like falling on my sword for like the airport being real. 'Cause like you just don't know. I mean, they show you so little. It's really hard to say anything definitive, but I guess you're right. I guess it's just about the mystery of how exactly they got to the island. They're still preserving that.
Yeah.
Both for the characters and for the audience.
And maybe they don't know the answer, right?
And maybe they're
like, listen, we got to get them to the island from Miami. We know they're going to take this. We know we have the scene where she's in the submarine and she gets out, and it's a whole big deal that she sees the island from the submarine. But how do we get to that? And I think, it's interesting because going up to the point of getting on the plane actually adds the plane being a part of the mystery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they had shown her on the plane, then it's like, well, that's not part of the mystery. We know she's on the plane.
Right.
So yeah, having that little piece cut out adds it to the mystery pile.
Yeah. And unanswered. I mean, they never really. Not that why would they of all the things they're going to answer, but we never really know, what happened and what the status of this airport is and all that. We just never see it again. It's over. We didn't know that at the time, obviously, but it was the subject of much speculation.
Interesting.
Which is pretty funny. Yeah. So another theory you had that I thought was pretty interesting was that when Smokey like scans people and reads their mind, that's how the others get some of their info. On people. Like I thought that was like not right, but definitely like an interesting way to go.
Yeah. Because you could get things that aren't in like just researchable files online and stuff. You could get these really specific emotional things.
Exactly, yeah. And we were talking about some things like, for example, the fact that Sawyer shot that shrimp guy, where like the police didn't know that he did it. The gun wasn't traceable. There were all these steps where it's sort of we didn't really understand how they could know, that he did that. And they make this specific reference, and so like it brought out this theory, which. Because, like, if Smokey reads his mind, he could know that.
Yeah.
And there's, there's a plausibility there. It's just, he's not sharing information with them.
Well, and then there's a similar idea from the context of having seen the whole show that you could suggest, which is, Jacob is looking at all these people. So maybe Jacob knew, but then...
Right.
Would Jacob put that in a file to the others?
Yeah, that would be kind of strange.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
So speaking of Jacob, like there were a couple of like really hilarious Jacob theories, because obviously at this point, we don't know what Jacob is at all.
Jacob's just a name people have said a couple times.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, there's this idea that he's the others follow him, but beyond that, and he's got lists or something, and maybe he can cure cancer. And it was funny, we actually talked about it. We were like, if Ben, even though the thing Ben does with Juliet's sister, even if it's a ruse, do you think Jacob can actually cure cancer? Like, we actually discussed that. And decided that yes, the answer is yes, and I don't know what we base that on, but we agreed.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, I guess so.
Probably Locke's legs. I mean.
Oh yeah. I guess it was the island stuff, the island healing business.
Yeah.
That probably was the basis, but it's sort of like, wow, we were really on the right track there.
Yeah.
Seemingly. I mean, of course, there's still quite a lot of ambiguity about Jacob's powers, but it's at least insinuated that he could do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So your first theory that was like kind of a joke, but half serious, was that Jacob is a computer program.
Nice.
And
was it an acronym? J.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course it was. And that prompted a, I don't know, 15 to 20 minute segment where we spoke in a voice like this as Jacob and he was like reacting to stuff going on the island.
Wow, that sounds great.
It was hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah, he was like he was like kind of he had like he was kind of what's the word? He was he had a dirty mind, and he was like cracking jokes all the time.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And he was like commenting on plot holes and how they made no sense, and it was great.
I gotta go back and listen to that.
Yeah, you should hear it. It was really really funny segment. Like classic Lost Lowdown tangent / technically it's related to Lost.
Yeah.
Another theory you had was that Jacob is already dead, and Ben is lying, like keeping the secret alive, or yeah, keeping the secret.
He's pretending that Jacob's alive,
but he knows that Jacob's actually been dead the whole time.
Well, that's interesting because that's in effect that's not too dissimilar from what's actually happening.
You're right.
He's got no contact with Ben and with Jacob, but he's pretending to.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, so I feel like you were on the right track with that, which I thought was interesting. Jacob being a computer program, like that's another show that would do
it's
that.
It's a total another show. It's like Enter 77 and he gets the Jacob code.
This is Jacob.
You have reached www.jacob.com.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I thought it was a funny theory. But yeah, a serious note, this is something I talked about on the podcast, and I know I talked about again now. And it's something I'm a little disappointed that we never got, even though I don't know when they would have worked this in organically. I mean, Juliet is called upon to trust that Jacob is going to heal her sister, and she sees proof of it. But, I mean, initially she has to stay there believing, And if I remember right, I think in The Other Woman, there's a similar scene where Ben challenges her by saying, it's what Jacob wants, and how dare you question that, and you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And in both of those scenes, she sits there, doesn't say a word, it's just a facial expression, and we're left to wonder what she's thinking, Mm-hmm. And I feel like the show never told us what Juliet thought about Jacob. Like there was never a conversation of anyone questioning, like, did she just think it was all bullshit? Did she believe, you know what I mean? Like, on what level, where was she in that?
Yeah, because we don't even get, like you're saying, we don't get the final answer about what she thought, but we don't even get the first question of, like, where would she have been convinced?
Right.
Which I guess it could be the sister. Mm-hmm. But even before that, there should have been something convincing her that all this Jacob stuff was... Because, if you think about it, okay, she gets to the island. She's supposed to be there for the fertility stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, then Ben's going to start, once she meets Ben and gets, I guess, some sort of sense of what her life's going to be like on the island, like, they're going to start talking about Jacob.
Yeah.
And then it's going to seem weird, right? It's going to seem like this weird cult she's in.
Very much so, yeah.
So at what point does she go along with it, Yeah.
Yeah, and I sort of feel like she could have been our character to, see how that process works. Because obviously, like, Cindy, she's like a C-level character, like... Ben has his own thing. I mean, there aren't that many opportunities to see, like, how the others, like, sell this idea. The problem is they just talk about it and everybody knows, or at least everybody's on the same page, whatever that is. And so there's no discussion of how they're thinking about it, to what extent people doubt it, like, what they've seen.
Yeah, that's the episode we needed from Juliet. We needed that next flashback episode where she not only learns where she gets the pitch about Jacob, but, like, even how she mentions it to Jack in the beginning of the season that people want a change from Ben. It's like even getting that idea out there that, like, what people think about Ben and how that relates to Jacob and the leadership of the others and how they're organized and Yeah, that would have been an interesting way to flesh it out, and I think a pretty typical thing to do for something like that they didn't do.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of a hole in the story to me. It's something I would like to have known. I mean, like Richard met him directly, so you don't have to ask where did he get his ideas about Jacob from, you know?
Yeah.
Why does he believe in Jacob? Like you don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it could be that Juliet meets Richard, and
Sure.
like I'm several hundred years old, and she's like, yeah, right, and somehow he proves it, and then that's why she's convinced about Jacob.
Yeah. That totally would have worked. It didn't even have to be a big focal point or anything, but it's just weird that she's like specifically challenged about having faith in Jacob like a couple of times, but there's no, all they do is just have her look with an expression and she doesn't comment on it, and there's just no clues for the audience about what she's thinking in those scenes. You know, we never find out.
Well, she has to be. I mean, you don't challenge somebody who is not in the arena, right? You know, like if she's not already supposed to be on the same page with Jacob, then there's no then a challenge doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You know, and I think they're trying to just say, yeah, all the others believe in Jacob, and you know, maybe her faith is wavering or something, but like they want that to be a given. But yeah, we don't know why that's a given for her.
Yeah, I'm wondering how that, because she just doesn't seem like the type of person that would just believe in Jacob, you know, because
even Cindy, even any of these people, right? You know, like, sure. I mean that really goes to the heart, and then maybe it's symptomatic of the whole problem with the others in general, which is like they don't even know who they're following or why.
Right.
Their leader could just come out and, you know, that's like, you know, if Jesus was just lurking around, like, and all these Christians are like, can't wait till Jesus comes back, and he's just hanging out in Santa Monica, you know, it's just like,
exactly.
He could just come and say, hey guys, yep, just some proof here that your religion is valid and I am your leader and blah blah blah. It's just like, yeah, it's strange that Jacob never feels the need to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that I would rather have had an episode about the others and some of those issues than the Richard Alpert flashback where we see his origin story, for example. It's just sort of weird to spend time on that specifically when I'm more interested in the group phenomenon.
Yeah.
You know, and like he comes at a time when everyone else on the island's dead.
Yeah, well, it's a simpler story to tell, right?
Yeah.
Like one character's journey to the island versus like how do we depict the others and how they conscript people and
right
and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, no, it's true. Let's see, a couple other small things. You brought up since the pregnancy is an issue for the others, like the pregnant women are dying. You brought up, well, what about Alex and Carl? Like, where do they stand in all this? Which is interesting because that's actually an answer for why Carl was being brainwashed. You know. So you were on the right track there. You didn't quite push it that far, but it was definitely heading in that direction.
Yeah, interesting.
You also had a pretty much spot-on theory about the pallet drops.
Oh, really?
Which you were just like, well, I just assume there's some people somewhere, and they just keep sending the supplies as long as the checks keep coming in, you know, or the money keeps showing up, and they just don't know that Dharma's over, you know? And it's like, and that was it. That was exactly correct.
Oh, man, that's so funny because it's a horrible answer.
It is.
Because it's so boring and straightforward.
It is. But you called it. 2007, you had it. And it was, you know, I mean, it was years later that they actually told us that your answer was.
Yeah, and I didn't remember. I don't think when they revealed it that I even remembered I said that.
I didn't either. That's why I was so surprised to hear it.
Wow.
It's like, oh wow.
Treasure. Wow.
Really nice. Yeah, so anyway, those are a few samples. I was thinking about making this a thing I do, sort of the Last Lowdown flashback segment or something.
Yeah.
'Cause like it was really interesting to hear what we had to say. There were quite a few things that we said exactly the same thing on the commentary that we did back in the original podcast. Which is funny. Like our reactions, a lot of them are along the same lines.
Yeah, nice.
You noted the production thing of Saeed standing in the background waiting to come in as they're, arriving at the camp. You were like, it's just this weird thing they have to do because they can't all come at once, and and it's really pronounced when he's standing there, like.
Well, when you see him walk a little bit then stop, and it's just like, yeah, that's not natural.
Yeah.
You don't know you're on camera.
Exactly. And there was some stuff from the Last Lowdown history. We used to have this thing called a Frapper map. I don't know if you kids know what that is, but it was this thing where I guess you would go on and just like put your location. And so then we'd see like where all of our listeners were from.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was cool. And we were talking about go to the Frapper map. Yeah. And I forgot that was even a thing because I don't think Frapper maps are like all that popular these days.
No, I don't think so.
But like it was a thing back then. And another thing that I thought of that made me like go to Wikipedia was that Twitter. I guess Twitter started the summer after the first Last Lowdown, so 2006. That's when it launched. No, coincidence? I doubt it.
Are you saying we're responsible for Twitter?
That's pretty much what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I've always heard that correlation equals causation, so.
So have I. Obviously, it didn't like rise to prominence immediately. It took a number of years, but it was really notable how things like hashtag or what, like some of the weird POTUS, like some of the weird things that Twitter has introduced into the way people speak.
Wait, you're giving Twitter credit for POTUS?
I'm giving Twitter because I don't remember anyone saying POTUS before.
That's from. I mean, that's
Twitter.
That's what they call him.
I don't think so. I don't think anyone said that.
That's in the West Wing. Like,
did they really say POTUS in the West Wing?
The Secret Service has those acronyms for those SCOTUS, POTUS, FLOTUS. Like those are actual.
Were people saying that? Like I don't remember that being in the.
Okay,
news.
So you're just saying like you're giving it credit for it being added as a word to use in casual conversation.
Yeah, because I think the 140 character thing means it's easier if you can write it in a compact form, and I feel like that has led to the rise in popularity of those.
Well, I would definitely agree
acronyms.
That people use POTUS on Twitter more than they would do writing in another media, but like I don't think people say POTUS.
I've heard people say POTUS.
But I mean, like
too many people. I hate it. I hate the word POTUS.
I don't know a lot of people who say POTUS instead of the president.
Well, you're a lucky person. Like I want your life.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking like most people say Obama or they say the president. I don't know people who, in conversation. No one's saying POTUS.
I've heard
like,
POTUS and SCOTUS, and it's
no, people
terrible.
say Supreme Court.
It's
who are you hanging out with?
The worst people, clearly.
Is this your abbreviation group?
I need to, yes. It's the local chapter of the Abbreviators Club. Yes. It's like the news, like on the Daily Show and stuff, like,
Okay, yeah. Now, if you're talking about like that, sure. Okay, I just mean like normal people.
Sure, fair enough. But I don't think they were saying it on the news or on the Daily Show, back in 2007. Like, I don't remember hearing people pronounce it instead of just saying the president, and if you're speaking, the president doesn't take much longer than POTUS, or Obama or whatever.
No, I mean, I totally concede that how the idea that POTUS and those abbreviations were more used in Twitter led to them more used in conversations about social media and news and pop culture. Yeah, I'll buy that.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense to me. I don't have any proof, but it's just.
I thought you meant that Twitter invented the word POTUS.
No, I guess I can't go that far. Probably it predates Twitter, but yeah, I started noticing people saying it more, and also writing it more, and it was just like, where did this come from? And that seemed like the obvious answer.
Yeah.
That it's just Twitter sort of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Basically. But yeah, I was just thinking about how, like, I guess Twitter technically existed, but I don't think we had a Lost Lowdown Twitter until, quite a bit later. I'm not sure exactly when we made it, but, we don't talk. It's just weird. It's a weird time capsule it's a podcast. It's an internet thing. It's, new media, but, we don't really, things have changed since then, and it's like, it's noticeable with stuff like Frapper Maps and the lack of Twitter or Facebook or whatever. All that stuff has risen in popularity quite a bit, I think, since those days.
For sure.
So anyway, I will continue this. Like I said, I listened to some other episodes, but we don't need to go over everything right now. But those just to give you an idea of like the fun you can have when you listen to the old Lost Lowdown.
So not to unleave this topic, but I was, now I'm curious about the popularity of POTUS over time, and so I Googled it. So I'm on Google Trends. And you can see I get interest over time in terms of people Googling terms, which I think is some sort of indication of popularity. So like 2005, 7 through 9, it's fairly consistent. There's a huge spike. September 2009 is a huge spike for some reason. But the general trend is up after 2009. So something happened in 2009 which made it significantly more popular. But at least it was being used consistently from 2004 to 2009. But you can actually see it by regional interest too, which is interesting.
Oh wow.
And related searches. So yeah, google.com/trends, everybody, if you want to
wow,
look it up and see. But anyway, thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, cool. Glad you're listening to the old stuff. Yeah. Anytime, can I get this with a side of data? Anytime I go back and listen to the old podcasts, they're always entertaining, because we're awesome that way, and we're humble.
There you go. Our two best qualities.
Yes. We're the best thing ever, and we're really, really humble. They
go together.
We're the most humble.
Oh yeah.
I am the most humble person ever is one of those weird statements that it's like, are you actually humble?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, I look forward to the segments. Segments are good.
Yeah. We haven't done segments in a while. We were still doing segments in 2007. Not too many, but we had like slight segmenty bits. They were starting to die out, I think, but we would have like a spoiler next week on Lost segment at the end.
Yeah.
We quit doing that because like it was crappy. I'm glad we quit. But
yeah.
But yeah, we were still doing and news and stuff like that. It was still a thing.
Yeah, nice.
But on the other hand, like it's still very much like what you're used to. We start off with the same intro, we end with the same thing. And the way we talk about Lost is like, as much as my opinion of the show has changed, I think we weren't as far off as I thought we were. About like how to think about the show, what to expect, how to understand the mysteries and the reveals and all that stuff.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So yeah, I recommend it. Back catalog, it's still there on the feed. Go check some of that stuff out if you want. It's pretty cool. I'm gonna keep doing it.
And I will too. Don't take our word for it. All right, it's a good time to start up the episode.
Yeah.
Let's catch some 22.
I want to catch it. 22 style.
Don't drop it. All right, everybody, get your plays ready if you're going to sync up with us, and we will watch some Desmond.
All right. I'm ready.
Mr. Hume, if you're nasty.
I am.
All right, let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Previously on Lost.
I'm the answer man. Oh yeah, question boy and answer man. That was another thing we used to do.
Oh yeah?
It was great. I was question boy, of course.
How did you know Claire was drowning?
I got good ears, mate. Yep.
Yep.
I can hear lightning. It's not that hard.
Pretty good.
I do my best. I don't know if that's Scottish or Australian, but
depends on how much haggis you're eating.
I love it on Lost. Nothing's ever as it seems. Of course he wasn't saving Claire. That's what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
It's another level. You gotta die, Charlie.
Why is that his conclusion? Like, he's been successful.
Yeah, it's weird.
He tried twice, and he succeeded twice.
Yeah.
It's not like Charlie has died twice.
Yeah, 2 times. It's a little much to give up already.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, I can't keep doing this?
I guess so.
Like, how does he know the third time Death isn't just going to give up? Be like, fine, I won't kill Charlie.
Yeah.
What are they talking about?
They're like,
why are we
talking about some nonsense. Uh-oh. And this is how Charlie dies.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember Not Penny's boat, right?
Yeah. It's not Penny's boat. There's a boat?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Well,
all right.
That was it. Thanks, Charlie.
Yeah, drive shaft.
Yeah. You all, everybody. Oh, yeah, that. Whoa, did his nose just drip?
It looked like something came out of his nose.
That was weird. Why did they use the shot where something came out of his nose?
Maybe it was like sweat off his face?
Yeah, okay. Could be. Let's say it was that. Yeah, so that's basically the first time that we see what his flashes look like.
Yeah.
Yes, they were like really realistic.
And really realistic and not from his point of view.
And not from his point of view. And then at the end, they sort of got weird and like flashy and impressionistic. But that first part, he was imagining all this shit.
The Charlie's death part was very detailed, and then he had flashes about related things.
Yeah.
This is future crap.
Future crap. You can always count on Hurley to drag it down a little to reality. Yeah. Other characters would be like, "What are you talking about, Desmond?" Uh-oh.
I don't know what to think.
It's weird. It's weird that that's his conclusion.
Yeah.
Again, like the last thing, it seemed like it was about Charlie dying, but his big takeaway was someone's coming.
Yeah, it wasn't like Charlie's gonna die.
Yeah.
It was like someone's. Yeah, it's really weird.
It's really weird. So usually in flashbacks they have longer hair, but if the hair is already long, then you gotta go short.
Yeah. Good observation. They can't have the same hair.
Yeah, that would just be really confusing. I mean, at least if they're not time traveling. This is weird, man. Like Desmond was a monk or tried to be a monk.
That's why he calls everybody brother.
Is that where that comes from? I thought it was just like some Scottish people say. I forgot about that. That was a thing. It's a good point. It just seems like he did a lot of random stuff. I never got the sense he was particularly, I don't know, spiritual or whatever. It's like,
well, I don't think he is.
I see. Maybe that's the point. It's like he joins the army, he joins
the monastery. He's literally searching for something, and he's gonna try this.
He seems to want some bigger thing to be a part of. But yeah. We know what those tattoos mean.
Yeah, we do. And we don't care.
We really don't care.
I date my share of angles. That sounded natural.
Yeah. He's a bad liar, which makes it really crazy that he conned Sawyer a couple episodes ago.
Yep. Let's pretend that never happened.
He still thinks. Oh right, no, he did know.
Yeah, like not sharing information. He could have told Jack, "Hey, Charlie's been dying. I think he's gonna die again. Somebody's coming to the island." Like.
But I can tell you that you pulled the cable up, which you probably wouldn't have done if I didn't tell you that.
He is definitely assuming. He doesn't really. He's like, this is definitely going to happen, but only if I do certain things.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, he would never do this mission if he didn't have the vision.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I mean, whatever. It's a classic thing.
Yeah.
Prophecy paradox, I guess.
Yeah, he should be able to do whatever he wants, and the prophecy still come true.
Exactly.
If it's accurate.
Mm-hmm.
But he seems to go with the idea that he can change it.
Yeah.
Which I guess is a whole point of the show later.
Right.
He can change the past. So he's like, yeah, I can't remember her face, but I remember the rest of her.
It was really memorable for some reason.
What?
I don't even remember the camera being broken.
Yeah, I remember vaguely, but I don't know why she would have said that unless she went and broke it.
Yeah.
I just want to tell you what that means.
Yeah. That makes it a lot more charming. Just so you know. I don't have to get caught in a net.
Mm-hmm. But I guess we know she did it because she thought Sawyer was gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I puzzle.
I.
Don't mock me.
It's very reasonable, Hurley.
You shouldn't have to try.
Yeah, it shouldn't be
It
that
should just
complicated.
happen.
He's gonna
This is my
come.
problem with these kind of stories.
Yeah.
Where you see something that's going to happen and then you think, oh, I've got to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Camping is what I do every single day because we live on a beach.
You're gonna. Oh God.
Yeah, he's bad at ruses.
Mm-hmm. Eh. So he is like covering up or withholding information here a bit
Mm-hmm.
about what he sees.
Yeah.
This makes me believe maybe a little more in the idea that he lied about the helicopter thing.
Okay.
Because I guess I didn't see Desmond doing that. I didn't see him just like lying about what he saw, but he just did it.
Yeah, it's all about why the motivation to lie, I think, is where you look at the probability, right? Like he's
Yeah,
lying here because he has a plan and he thinks and he doesn't want to tell Charlie, well, we're doing this because I see you die and all that stuff. Like,
right.
but yeah, no, I mean it's still a valid point that he could just lie if he
Yeah,
thinks he has a good reason.
like if he wants Charlie to, you know,
Yeah,
go.
I love how it looked like Hurley found the cable, but Jen actually found it.
Yeah, that was a weird reveal.
On the beach, just like where we live.
It doesn't seem like it's that late, but who knows? Does that have anything to do with that LED in the sky? That shot always looks weird to me.
Yeah. And the word is punch.
Punch is a word here.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know, when you become a monk, I mean, you might have been leaving some problems behind.
Yeah.
Cut me a little slack.
Is she eating ice cream? There's no way.
I think it's oatmeal, isn't it?
Okay, yeah, I think I said that before too. I felt like I had that same thought, and you said the same thing.
I remember this being a thing. Like, there was this, yeah,
there's
this weird thing about how, like, great the oatmeal is.
Yeah.
It's just like, how good can it possibly be?
Yeah. I've had some very good oatmeal, but it just was very okay for oatmeal. Like, the best oatmeal is okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the best oatmeal for me can go, like, above okay, but yeah, awesome is never a word I would use, I think.
No. Salty plates.
I'm just gonna lick
I'm
it.
just gonna lick all over it, and
it's clean now. That's what I meant by doing the dishes. I'm gonna lick them.
I'm gonna eat all the dirt off the plates. They're too comfortable on this island.
Yeah.
They're really comfortable.
It's come a long way. I think that's why they're bringing in the freighter. They had to kind of shake up this dynamic.
Yeah. He's eating oatmeal with her.
How dare
my
you.
Spoon.
What a bastard. Two-timing piece of shit.
Now I'll go see Sawyer.
Yowza. Reading again. Have a little evening delight.
That means sex. Sadness gets me in the mood.
Yeah, sadness is sexy. This is pretty pathetic for Kate, I think.
It's a weird character moment for her, I think, for them to so explicitly portray this sequence of emotions here of just like, well, she got jealous of Juliet and decided she was going to use Sawyer.
Yeah. Yeah, it sort of reminds me of how, like, she abandons Aaron and then she shows up to Jax and, like, they have sex and it's this weird dark thing.
Oh, that dark scene. Oh, yeah. Man, that stands out. They never did a scene like that again.
Never ask me what I did.
Yeah?
Never ask, for you shall never know. It was really dark.
Fake laughing.
Yeah, it works because there's a jump at the end. If it relied on the words, it really wouldn't have made any sense to anyone but Jane. But I guess that's the guy with no hands, hook for a hand.
Yeah, that's the story they tell it in Adventures in Babysitting.
Yeah.
He had a hook for a hand, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Bad. 9 out of 10.
You better lock that down, brother.
Put a ring on it. Oh, you tried to already? Oh, you threw it away?
What? Oh, her dad said you weren't good enough? Oh, okay.
Not bad, Tess. It's funny. She did say that. That's kind of her famous quote.
Yeah, she's got that tattooed on her.
Yeah. Oh, right. I forgot that's how they sell this thing.
Yep.
Ah.
Spinny's coming.
Yes. Yes, I guess that's how we get to Not Penny's Boat.
And that's how I was just gonna say that's the start. This is the first book for that bookend, right?
Yeah.
Like we think it's Penny's boat because of this beginning here.
And they set it up. I mean, at the end of season 2, we know she is looking for him. Yeah. They saw a signal. The whole thing has an air of plausibility.
Yeah.
She's the only person we know is looking for them.
Yep.
You know? So, because at this point, we don't know old Widmore's looking for them.
Yeah.
We don't know old Widmore knows anything about the island.
Yeah.
At this point. As far as we can tell, he's just an asshole.
Yeah, we don't know he has any connection.
Yeah. This was weird. Like, that was a helicopter? Like, really?
I guess it was just supposed to be far, and I guess it was supposed to, like, maybe we caught the tail end of the splash.
It didn't look that far, and it looked tiny.
Yeah. Yeah.
That always bothered me. Like, if that were Naomi, then I could be like, okay, she made that splash. But no, that was the helicopter.
Yeah, I think it's just bad because they couldn't get a helicopter.
Yeah.
They didn't want to spend the money to show any of it, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just,
like,
I wish
is he thinking Penny helicopter to the island?
Yes, I think he is thinking that. Oh, yeah. And this is also a good example of something that goes wrong with Desmond's things. And he continues to do this up until the end of the show. He thinks he knows what the answer is, and he's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, he's not just basing it on what he sees. He's jumping to conclusions.
Yep.
And those conclusions are not always correct.
Like, the fact that he's, those flashes occur in daytime, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like he's not even picking up on that detail of like, well, we find them in the day.
Yeah.
So maybe this is how it's supposed to happen, that you go in the first light.
Right. And I feel like that's what that shot was about. Like, that he's like, well, okay. It apparently can wait.
No.
No. What are you, Canadian? I'm not Penny.
She didn't care.
Look, I got one scene. Just spit it out. What, you dead? Everything.
Man, I bet that's a good joke for people who get it.
Mm-hmm. I have no idea what that means. World Cup? I don't know. I don't know what Celtic is.
Football team?
Yeah. Why not?
Cricket?
Oh, you're totally right. That's where that came from.
Was this Jacob?
That's what it seems like. But I assume that person was at the monastery, so... Well, I guess he could have masqueraded as a monk for a while. I guess Desmond never actually knew what he looked like. Jack Shephard?
All right, wow. Wow, that was dark.
Yeah, ouch.
And strangely comical.
I thought we were having fun banter, but
that
apparently
was
we weren't.
like really at the core of their relationship.
Who's your favorite other?
Ping pong.
Oh no, not the ping pong. This is like the poker.
Purple haze.
I let you win. Oh, there we go. That doesn't mean anything. Ha!
The kitchen.
Oh God, yeah. Sawyer has to find out. Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's
How
putting it
about that?
together.
Yep. Slammed a little too hard there, Sawyer.
Mm-hmm. Three times?
Yeah, yeah, the third time was the bird stuff, right?
Oh.
Because that was
But didn't he
after.
say earlier twice?
Yeah, but that was from Flashes. That was before the bird.
That was before the birds. Okay.
Yeah. I think. Love that.
This is the worst camping trip ever.
It's really shitty. Man, Rousseau's always got weird crap lying around.
Wow.
Jeez, Desmond. He's not a rock.
He's a hard place.
Oh, right, of course.
There it is.
Everyone knows it. It's Ardil 22. Satellite phone.
Wow.
Oh man, this is a big thing for a while.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. That's weird, man.
Is that you?
Just in case anyone finds this, let's just plant this in here
Mm-hmm.
for my cover story. So strange.
Oh, wow, yeah. Oh,
So
man.
strange. Like they're on like bin levels with that, like making up stories for crazy reasons.
Yeah. Oh, you gave her a mixtape.
Oh yeah. He stole it from Bernard.
Bernard had the best of Phil Collins cassette.
Yeah, it's sad and weird. And I don't think they can really play it.
Ouch.
Yeah. Took a little afternoon delight. No strings attached. It's cool.
I really don't like this storyline. It's really frustrating to watch.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because he's lying, and we know he's lying about certain things, and we don't really know what he wants. Like, I can't pinpoint it, but there's something really tedious about this. Even though it should be really exciting and interesting, because someone obviously is coming to the island.
I think that was my main hook at the beginning, and I think now that we know who that is and the whole story of that,
Uh-huh.
it's not particularly, the other part of the story doesn't really work so well.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, it totally depends on. It's all Desmond leading everyone around. And
Yeah. This is just it's like the Flash Sideways.
Yeah, it is. This is the first
Desmond
version
taking
of Flash
charge,
Sideways.
like being wrong, and
Yeah, just like coming up with his own conclusions, lying about some things, being deceptive, like, and we don't really know why, like you said, or what. I mean, we figure he wants to reunite with Penny. I feel like that's all we can really guess at this point. I mean,
so far this flashback isn't about Penny.
Yeah, that's true. Is he drinking and singing?
Yeah. Grenade.
Oh God. Quinn is a lot, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Twice as much as a pro.
Some nice ass wine. And he's drinking it straight from the bottle. How uncouth, Desmond. No.
Oh.
I'm barely gonna call you Desmond.
I'm demonking you.
That should be a show.
Yeah, demonk.
Like people try to be monks, and like that's the catchphrase. I'm demonking you.
Wait, is he born to run like Kate?
It kind of seems like it. Yeah.
Like it's like Kate meets Locke, like he's born to run because he's looking for something special.
Yeah. 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 With like a touch more of romance. That's his stew apparently.
Mm-hmm. A pinch of born to run, a pinch of something special, and a pinch of romance. Cook on 425 for 30 minutes, and you'll have one Desmond. Let cool before eating.
But yeah, you're totally right. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because what's the first thing he does when we fight him in the hatch? He runs away.
Runs, yeah. And tries to run from the island, and
yeah.
That's totally his thing. Even when they leave the island, that's what he does.
Yeah.
He's the run guy.
soups. Nobody calls them soups.
Yeah. I've never heard that.
Oh, so that's the other part of this. I guess he's gonna let him die until the last minute.
I guess.
Like that's part of the deception here is he didn't want to tell him this is all about you dying because he was gonna let him die so he could get Penny.
I think he thought that it had to happen.
Yeah.
For him to see Penny.
Because yeah, if he didn't die, then he wouldn't find Penny because he thinks everything he sees has to happen.
Exactly. Yeah, so I guess at the last second he decided not to let him die. You're right. I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah.
But I totally agree. There's a tedium to this.
Right? You feel it?
I do. It's like it's kind of frustrating. Like, get there already. Jesus.
Yeah.
Can we skip some of this like dithering?
Yeah. Too much dithering.
They were doing a lot of dithering.
Dither here and dither there.
dither everywhere. See, it's weird because I thought the point was no matter what he does, it's gonna happen, right? No matter what I do, you're gonna die, Charlie. Shouldn't it be no matter what I do, Penny's gonna arrive here?
We have to discuss it. We have to unpack that. It's complicated.
It's just weird because I thought his conclusion at the end of Flashes was he can't change it.
Well, I guess there's a difference between the sequence of events and then the big picture, right? Like the puzzle pieces versus what the puzzles add up to.
Right, but shouldn't Penny's arrival be part of the big picture?
I think Penny's arrival is the puzzle pieces. Oh, wait. Yeah, you're right. Well, it's both.
And like
Why does it say she? Oh, they think it's Penny.
Yeah.
They think Penny parachuted to the island.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we did too at the time, but that's so ridiculous.
I think I remember expecting it.
Wow.
Yeah. Although I started to get suspicious when she was masked.
Yeah.
That's always like a sign. Oh no. Are you ready for one of the worst Photoshops?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, Hawking and this guy.
What a weird thing. Like, why did they do that? That's so weird. What does that mean? I'm still baffled about that. Like, he's just friends with her coincidentally. She's behind this whole thing. Like, how? I don't know how to interpret that.
Well, I guess you'd have to ask, what does Hawking want for Desmond? He doesn't want her. She doesn't want him to marry Penny.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it would seem like from how this happens, she wants him to meet her.
This is how he met her, so that seems like the whole point of this story is to get him there.
Yeah. And also be not a monk by the end of this, right? Because if he was a monk, he'd have a vow of chastity and he'd stay there and he wouldn't get to be with Penny. So it's also he has to get fired.
I mean, is she just leading him along the whole like trail? Like first he has to meet her, and so he can then not marry.
Yeah, you would just say this is just a coincidence, if not for the previous scene where we saw her picture.
Right. Totally. Yeah, that's the only thing that makes me think that. And I mean, there's no follow up on that. We never really know what the story of that's supposed to be. It almost makes it seem like Desmond is her like primary, or at least like a big interest of hers. Like she's spending time like overseeing his life.
Yeah.
And it's weird because once she like really comes on the scene again in season 5, she didn't really seem to care about Desmond that much.
Yeah, you'd expect like the same thing where she meets Daniel in the past, and that prompts what she does in the future. Like she met Desmond in the past, and that prompted her to want to look at his life over time, but that didn't happen. So.
Yeah, it's weird.
Pin. Puh. P for short.
Yeah, there's just no way. There's just no way that's gonna happen. I can feel it.
Back. It makes no sense that this would be Penny. It just doesn't make any sense. Why do we think that?
It just wouldn't work.
Penny! Oh, you're not Penny.
TVs, what's your name?
Yeah, that's a great ending because it's like she knows who he is.
Yep.
But she's not Penny, so you kind of get it, but not really. So now we have to explain how she knows what's going on, how she knew where to find him, who is she, all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely where season 3 takes a turn. What am I trying to say? Takes it up a notch.
Mm-hmm.
And takes a turn and becomes a lot more interesting than it was before. But what a weird episode knowing what is happening.
Yeah, I feel like the path there is just kind of frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I get annoyed with Desmond and his single-minded, wrong-headed determination, his like very fixed ideas about the Flashes and what they mean while like proving himself wrong over and over again, and also his like jumping to conclusions that aren't in them and being so sure of them.
Again, he's a lot like Locke, which I never really thought about, but he misplaces meaning and he's jumping to the wrong conclusions and selfish determination. He doesn't care who gets involved and like who he has to lie to if he thinks this thing has to happen a certain way.
Yeah, he's just not
and that's
tragic
very frustrating and very tedious. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I didn't expect to be so annoyed with him. But it was just like it was frustrating. I almost I don't know, when Locke's that way it bothers me a little less. I guess because they try to sell Desmond as a noble figure.
Yeah.
I feel like they don't really emphasize his selfishness the way they do with Locke, and so it just feels kind of I don't know, inconsistent, or like they don't fully deal with the character that they're portraying.
Mm-hmm.
They want him to fulfill this kind of hero savior role. But they don't really talk about, because I think, you can say a lot of things about Jack. I mean, I think Jack is not, he's not really a selfish character.
I think, I was just going to say, they want Desmond to be this heroic character, but he's not heroic. He's not a hero. He doesn't have that be the first to jump into danger mentality like Jack has.
Yeah, exactly. And so it doesn't, I mean, Jack's problems are different, but yeah, it's hard to throw your support behind a hero that's like this, because it feels like they don't deserve your support because they might just lead you.
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't want what everybody wants. He wants what he wants.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's
he
the
doesn't
difference
want like
Jack,
Penny to be there so they can get rescued.
Yeah.
He wants Penny to be there for himself.
Yeah.
And
if that means Charlie dying, then so be it.
Oh well. Yeah.
like, it's not my fault I saw him die, or Russo put that trap out there. So
Right.
if he dies, it dies. So yeah, the puzzle piece thing. I am confused about the metaphor and about the conclusion. So how do we unpack that? So here he's saying, if the pieces don't happen the way he saw them, then the big picture changes.
Then the picture changes.
So the picture to him is finding Penny.
Right.
Like the result of the sequence of events is that he will find Penny, and if they don't happen the way he sees it, he won't find Penny. Yeah, that's a completely wrong conclusion from the beginning, right? Like, if he saw her parachute to the island, then she parachuted to, and then when he actually sees her do it, then she did it.
Right.
There's nothing that can happen after that to unparachute her to the island.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like the dilemma should have been, which maybe that's what they were hinting at and it didn't really come through, was if things don't happen the way I saw them, when I find her, she'll be dead. You know, like I see her stuck in a tree, and if I don't get there quick enough through these sequence of events, then when I get there, she'll be dead. Like, I feel like that should be the driving force. Not that, like, if these things don't happen in the right order, she'll like what? Like, she's gonna be on the island.
Yeah,
she is on the island.
Right.
So I think that's part of what confuses me about his motivation, is he seems to suggest that these things have to happen, or like somehow she will never have landed on the island.
Yeah, and I feel like that idea of, like, if we don't do this, then she might just die or something. I feel like that idea was almost there, but they didn't really nail it home. I think it's also, like, he doesn't specifically state what his motivate. Like, he says, like, sort of parts of what he's thinking. But it's hard. I just having a hard time, because I remember on Flashes we were really confused about, like, the train of thought about I can change it, I can't change it.
Yeah.
Like, it was a roller coaster at the end, you know, like something happens where it's different, and then something happens where it's the same, and that leads him to go, that means I can change it. And then a different thing happens, and then he wakes up and tells Charlie, I can't change it. And it's just like, what?
We thought we had it settled, and then one more scene just reverses it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it was totally confusing. And now he's saying, I think he's now back to, I can change it. Right? I mean, he's really worried about all the events happening the way they're quote unquote supposed to.
But I think maybe he's making a different point, which is the pieces can happen differently, but the puzzle doesn't change. The picture doesn't change.
Right.
I think that's what, because he's basically saying here, I think what we saw is Charlie did not die, and he still found Penny. Right. So that means that the pieces can change, but the picture didn't change. But that's the opposite of what he says that he thinks is true.
Yeah.
At a certain point.
Well, and I guess they leave us to think about the idea that maybe if he had let Charlie die, if things had happened exactly as he foresaw, then it would have been Penny. Like, it's not really plausible, but it's something you could make.
Well, but he's just wrong, right? Like it couldn't have been Penny.
Well, I know. Like, to us, that's obvious, but I feel like from the point of view of the episode, when you get to the end, you could think that. You know, that maybe him changing that piece changed the picture. Is that the right metaphor? I'm confused about the pieces in the picture, actually.
So the pieces,
like, what are the pieces and what's the picture?
So I think if you look at his flashes that we saw, the pieces they starts with Hurley and the cable. Then it's seeing, I think, the red light in the sky.
Right.
I think, and then it's, you know, finding then it's seeing the picture of him and Des and Penny.
Right.
And then it's I guess the person in the tree, the parachute kind of person in the tree image, and then I think it's the end, which is who's the person, I guess.
Right.
And so those are the pieces, and I guess the picture is the combination, how those pieces fit together, which would be, I guess, finding Penny. Like, but see, that's the part where he's jumping to the conclusion that it's Penny.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't actually know what the picture is.
He's exactly.
So he can't really judge whether it's changed.
He looks at the picture and he says, "Oh, it's Penny," but that's just wrong. He only thinks it's Penny because of the puzzle piece. It's like he sees it's that happens, I guess, maybe if you put together a puzzle and you don't know what the picture is. It's like you see a piece that's green and you think, "Oh, okay, well this is a Christmas tree puzzle."
Right.
Because I see a green piece, but it's like no, it's a mountain instead or something.
Yeah.
Or it's a Naomi.
Right.
But it's really confusing. He flip-flops back and forth. He's misinterpreting his own things. It's really tedious.
Yeah, I mean, they were consistent about that. I'll give him that. Like, the same thing happens with The Flash Sideways, where he just comes to the wrong conclusion about what it is and what it means.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is crazy that that's still happening, literally in the last episode.
Well, and what it shows is, like, that's his character dynamic. That's
Absolutely.
The engine and how he drives the story, is to be wrong about things. Like, that's such a strange thing to be, much like Locke. It's a weird thing that's how your character is built, to jump to conclusions and to, like, strong-headedly, like, find a solution and that works for you only. And
right, but unlike Locke, like, he still gets to be a hero.
Yep.
So it's sort of like he gets all of Locke's faults without Locke's, like, tragic, fate. Like, it's kind of unfair. I almost feel like that identifies, like, something that bothers me about Desmond that I hadn't really realized.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the kind of injustice of it, that he gets to have some of these same flaws, but they don't destroy his character.
They don't count against him. Yeah.
Yeah, like he ends up, presumably with Penny at the end, and it, probably like a nice happy life. Clearly in the afterlife, he was happy. Like, it wasn't like Locke's thing where, someone has to apologize for murdering him and he never learned answers. You know what I mean? He gets to save the island and he gets Penny, and it's just like, it's too much. Even Whitmore likes him.
And that's, again, to the unfairness, he actually was special.
Right. You're right.
He had
a power.
He did make a huge contribution. And even though he is fundamentally looking for something big, I still think that a big difference between him and Locke is he's not obsessed about it. He's not obsessed about how am I special. I feel like he is there, but it's not his main focus, and I think largely because of Penny.
Yeah.
Penny becomes his main focus.
Yeah.
And
he's obsessed with Penny instead of the island.
Yeah, exactly. And if he didn't have that in the way, then maybe he would be way more like Locke, looking for, oh, okay, I'm on the island, and that means this is where my specialness will come into play, and my reason for living will be found here. I just got to search for it.
Right.
And even of course he got convinced about pushing the button too, right? And I guess that's what Miss Hawking said is, this would be the greatest thing you ever do. So. I feel like Locke would be even more sad if he knew Desmond's story.
Absolutely.
Like, wait, Miss Hawking talked to you and she told you all this stuff, and she wow.
Yeah, like, you got to time travel to your past and, like, think about doing things differently, and like, it's like, why are you still alive? Like, I don't understand. Like, why don't all your friends hate you? And
yeah, exactly. If Desmond had went to everybody and asked them to come to the island, they would have done it.
I know. I can totally imagine it. Yeah, for you, Desmond, anything.
For you, Des, anything. Or should I say anything?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's weird. I mean, even, it's... It's lucky for Locke. He didn't have to know, you know. And then Desmond in the Flash
The
side.
universe spared him some extra misery.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's like being buried alive 6 feet underground, and someone pissing on your grave, and it's just like you're lucky you're buried 6 feet underground, so you don't have to see the person pissing on you.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's like. That's exactly what it's like. That's funny. And just as a little extra, like, whatever, fuck you to Locke, Desmond hits Locke with his car in the Flash Sideways.
Yep.
For really no good reason.
No good reason.
I mean, I feel like that thing is never properly justified. Like, it's like, and he doesn't do that with other characters. He doesn't, like, go assault them, you know? Like, it's weird.
Oh man, he just has this feeling in the Flash Sideways that he should hurt Locke.
Yeah.
He's just like, you know what? I need to run this guy over. I don't know why. I'm not thinking it's not a conscious decision, but somehow this universe is telling me, yeah. Why is Locke the punching bag of the show?
Yeah, I know. It's over the top. Like,
it really is.
It's totally ridiculous. It's unbelievable.
Maybe that's why Locke was wet with the submarine, just to make him look more pathetic, just because. And he's like, "Why am I wet?"
Yeah, I don't get it.
There's like a little cloud following him.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's an itsy bitsy Locke cloud. That's how he always knows when it's gonna rain, because it's always raining on him.
Yeah, and it's like, yes, it's not Penny's boat. Oh, poor Desmond. Penny's boat's coming. He's gonna be on it by the end of season 4.
Yeah.
That's not that bad.
Not too shabby.
Where's Locke gonna be by that point? In a coffin.
Oh my god. So they'll both be off the island, but one of them will be dead.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. Yeah, when you compare it, it just gets
the more you look at Locke, the sadder it is.
It is. It's horrible. It's horrible.
It's really I almost feel like I can't watch the show anymore. I feel like I need to stop watching, because it's just like an exercise in sadism.
Yeah.
Like,
it is, yeah. It's terrible. And it also, yeah, like the fact that Desmond gets away with it, and that he had like such a devoted fan base, like all of that starts to annoy me more when I realize that he had a lot of the character flaws that Locke had.
Yeah.
And he just got away with it.
Because he had the romance storyline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, lucky him.
Yeah.
Like, bastards. It's yeah, it just seems so unfair. You know?
Yeah, wow. Yeah, never realized how similar they were.
Me either. I wouldn't have thought about it if they hadn't sort of made it a focal point of the episode.
Yeah.
You know, but it kind of all depends on that. You know? And I guess it's just weird how it doesn't bother me the way... No, that's not what I mean to say. It bothers me in a way that, like, an episode like Question Mark doesn't, where you kind of have a similar setup where a character gets a vision, and then they kind of take other characters by force on this mission, you know, because of what they see or what they're told. And sort of the whole episode depends on, you know, their own motivation, their own interpretation of what they've seen, and dragging these other people into that, you know. It didn't bother me in Question Mark, but on the other hand, you know, Echo's mission in Question Mark isn't selfish in the same way. I mean, it's Yimi who tells him, but he's not, I mean, what he's looking for there isn't really defined, first of all.
Yeah.
And it's actually, I think if I remember right, Ana Lucia says you have to help Locke. You have to help John find his way or whatever. Yeah. So it's actually literally not selfish. He's doing it for Locke, even if he has to hit him on the head to get him to come.
Yeah, a more similar story would have been he thinks Yimi's on the island, and he wants to go find Yimi, and he thinks, you know, Yimi will be alive when he finds. Yeah, I have to help Locke so I can find my brother or something like that.
Right. Yeah, and I guess like that doesn't make me see Echo in a negative light the way this does with Desmond. And I don't know, I feel like we're supposed to sympathize with him, and yeah, I just end up being kind of frustrated with him.
Yeah, and I even think his monk storyline is kind of tedious and frustrating and not really a good character trait. Like he leaves, he cancels a wedding a week before because he's too scared to get married, and so he decides to like go join a monastery. Like which is another like that's a overreaction, you know.
Way overreaction. Yeah.
Yeah, so and just because a monk helped him off the street or whatever, you know, like that's something Locke would have done.
Totally.
You know, just like,
this is my destiny.
Yeah, here it is. I'll go do this now.
Yeah, and he's not even really committed to it because, like, as soon as he confronts his own cowardice, he gives up on the monk thing.
Well, no, actually, he doesn't. He gets fired, right? He doesn't decide to. I mean, I guess if he has a vow not to drink, then he broke that.
Oh well, okay. I mean, I guess he was like, I'll do my penance, and so
yeah, he wanted to stay. He definitely wanted to stay, and
but he does break his vows or whatever. I mean, he transgresses
his true self. Yeah, it comes through, and
exactly. Sure. Yeah, so it's. I mean, that's Locke-like too. You know,
it doesn't strengthen his monkdom. Yeah.
Like sets him off, and he's like, whatever. I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna openly drink this crazy expensive monk wine in front of this guy and expect to get away with it.
Yeah.
Like it just
Well, I thought he could just make it up penance.
Yeah, just do my penance.
If I get caught, I'll just
But that really doesn't make him seem like a good character.
No.
You know, like. I mean, say what you will about monks. I mean, but if you're gonna join, like, you could at least like have some respect. You know, it just seems like weirdly rude.
Yeah, and it's strange that they start off the episode, that flashback with him doing a good job, and like Desmond, you can talk now. Like he was taking his vow of silence really strong, and I guess we don't really know how long it's been, right? That he's been a monk.
Yeah, no, it's not clear. I mean, maybe they said when the guy, maybe
it seems like it was fairly recent.
I don't think it was too long. Maybe a couple months or something.
Yeah, I feel like maybe even shorter because
because
the guy comes and punches him.
Right. So
like,
it
didn't be too long.
Maybe like 1 month or a few weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Desmond episodes are usually pretty strange.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, The Constant is like still named as like one of the greatest episodes of the whole show. I thought Flashes was actually pretty interesting because of the convoluted like back and forth of it all. And the strangeness, Miss Hawking, all that. I think that I liked that episode better than this one.
Yeah, for sure.
This one, it moves the plot forward. It's fine. It tells us something about his past, I guess. It gives us some new insight about his flashes and his own motivations. And it leaves us with an interesting cliffhanger. But the journey was definitely frustrating.
Yeah.
And I feel like it should have been fun. It should have been like a good adventure. It didn't quite work.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was so manipulative and it was so contrived, and he gets all these 4 people who never go off on missions together.
Yeah.
And that's why it should have been fun. They tried to make it fun, the ghost story thing, but it was all under the pretense, of Desmond's selfishness, and so that never got, we knew what was really going on. It
overshadowed everything.
Exactly, yeah, it overshadowed everything, and I almost wish there was a way, they could have just lucked into all these events and finding Naomi, and it was more organic than like, I'm gonna force all these people to come on this camping trip and go step by step through all these things. And that's what's frustrating about time travel and seeing the future kind of stuff is now you're sort of obligated, either either you want the outcome to happen or you don't, but like you're sort of obligated either way to either make the things you saw come true or prevent them from not changing,
right.
Or change them depending on what you want to happen. And it just becomes tedious in a way. And it's kind of weird.
It's a frustrating storyline overall. But like I said, the only thing it did sort of make more plausible to me was the idea that he would lie to Charlie about seeing Claire get on the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
Like now that I have a better sense of who his character is, I can believe that he would do that.
Now, is Claire getting on the helicopter a puzzle piece, or is that the picture on the box? Because if it's the picture in the box, then maybe the pieces just changed. Therefore, the picture changed.
That's definitely a theory that you could have. Yeah. And I think I have actually read a theory along those lines that said that basically when the Man in Black stepped in and kidnapped Claire, the picture changed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like that wasn't supposed to happen. For whatever that means. But like basically, if he hadn't done that, she would have gotten on the helicopter, and the rest of it would have played out the way he said. I mean, there was a helicopter around. It certainly she could have gotten on a helicopter theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
But she was hanging out in the cabin instead. That sounds like a song or something. Like a country song.
Yeah. Why does I can't remember. Why is Desmond even having flashes?
Good question. I think that's an open mystery. I don't think we really know. I feel like the prevailing theory is that something happened to him when
the implosion.
Failsafe key. Yeah.
Yes.
And it seems like that simultaneously gave him his powers, and well, I guess these are part of his powers. Like there's some weird mental version of his resistance to electromagnetism / like timey, moving through timey thing. It's sort of connected to that.
Yeah, like it's when he gets these flashes, it's his consciousness going to the future or something.
Yeah, something like that. It's a manifestation of that power that he. I mean, they're very vague about it. They don't really define it except for resistance to electromagnetism or something. They don't really spell it out. But I feel like that's what we're supposed to think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, it's not clear why or how or any of that. But that does seem to be the turning point.
Yeah. Okay.
That gave him, but it is weird that they stop after the season, like, and if I remember right, I don't think we see flashes after this. So like the helicopter stuff and even the like thing he says to Charlie, you're gonna go push a button and then you're gonna drown, which like is kind of true. We don't see what he sees anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we're left out of the loop for that. But that's the end. Like, after that, he doesn't have visions. And really, no one talks about it. Like, it's another frustration of mine. Like, there are discussions later. Like, remember when you saw the future for a while? Like it just kind of gets left, and it's a weird thing to bring up and then drop without ever mentioning again. And I guess it's supposed to be wrapped up in the other stuff that happens with him, but it does seem a little different to me.
Yeah,
even though you could tie it together, since like it's about future events versus like past events. Later on, or if you like the Flash Sideways, the ultimate future.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. He's such a weird character.
Very weird, very weird. I don't hate him, but I do feel like he's kind of unjustly,
mm-hmm. He's the Kim Kardashian of lost characters.
Yeah.
Like he didn't really earn the fame he's got.
He shouldn't be as popular as he is. I think his character doesn't really merit that, and like his character's fate isn't really earned either in the show. Mm-hmm. Like I appreciate that more now than I even did before when it was bothering me before. So yeah, that's the only thing that sort of holds me back about his whole participation, you know, and even to the end of the show. I mean, even to the Flash Sideways, you know.
Yeah.
It's I'm not really a fan of his role.
Yeah, and I think for me it's really how they execute it and his motivation for doing what he does. It makes it unpalatable somehow.
Yeah. I could definitely imagine a different version that I would buy or be able to, you know, get behind more easily.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way they portray it is off-putting. And it's strange. It's strange that so many people love that. I don't quite get it. I feel like
They're probably not podcasting about it.
Maybe that helps.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess on the surface, he's a fun character.
Yeah.
And maybe that's sort of the key.
He just always stands out because he's not an original Lostie. You know, he always seems like in a separate category because he's got this specific backstory, being on the island before everybody else, and being in the hatch and all that stuff. So
right, and he gets like
having the powers and
he gets some of the crazier sci-fi-ish plots.
Yeah.
And I guess if you're into that stuff more than some of the other stuff,
it's weird. He sits in this place between Jack and Locke where you know he gets the mystical stuff that if Jack had gotten would have convinced Jack of, you know, the specialness of the island, so you can't give him that. But then if you give it to Locke, then Locke would be convinced of the specialness of the island, you know, which you don't want to give him that. He'd be too convinced. So you give it to Desmond, and he's just like, I don't care.
He doesn't care about the island. He never does.
That's the thing. He doesn't care about the island, so he doesn't.
Bitter end, he doesn't.
Yeah, so it's not like, oh man, this island is crazy because I'm seeing the future now. It's just like, no, I want to find Penny.
Even in the fucking end of the show, when he's gonna go down there and pull the rock, he's like, I'm gonna go down there, and then there's gonna be a light, and then I'm gonna be with Penny, and that's the only reason he's doing it.
It's the only reason he's doing it.
He didn't give a shit about the island or the other people. It's about that again. It's like, even in the fucking end, he's still doing it. That drives me crazy. Like, he hasn't progressed. He's doing the same thing in season 6, episode 7.
You know what? You're absolutely right, and that's actually the most important thing to say about Desmond, I think, is his character arc doesn't happen.
Yeah. He's on the same track.
He doesn't actually learn anything or have a character arc.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. It's like Locke, but he wins in the end.
Yeah.
You know, in spite of himself.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
He wins by doing nothing, by changing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, Waco. Yay.
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty crazy. That I never really realized that. Desmond goes through all that. Because it's not about discovering that he loves Penny. It's not about discovering that he needs a sacrifice for her or a commitment to her. It's his view on Penny, you know, once it starts, stays the same. And he's just running towards that the whole time, and that's it.
Yeah. That's all. That's his entire
His character arc should have been he has to realize he's got to sacrifice Penny, like sacrifice himself for Penny.
Yeah.
So when he's pulling the plug at the end, he should go, or it should be like, when I pull this plug, I'll never see her again.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I have to pull this plug for the good of whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
But he's a hero, so he gets to have the girl. So it's not that.
Yeah. And I mean, his single-minded commitment and sort of the epic nature of him leaving her for so long and her looking for him and all that, I think it's probably the most effective romance on the show. Yeah. But when you step back from that, that single-minded focus starts to look kind of selfish and, myopic and kind of, in a way, destructive of others.
Yeah, and I think a better version of that is Sun and Jin, who have a way more dynamic and complicated relationship and history, and so by the time they're searching for each other, they've kind of earned it. Yeah. They've earned needing to be reunited because they started off in a particular way and then weren't close when they landed on the island and had all the hiccups and stuff in the beginning, and then refound their love for each other at a certain point, or at least a new level, and then it got taken away. So then you're like, yeah, well, you want to find that again, but then of course they get the Locke treatment and get to die right after they finish their character
arc. They're reunited, yeah, exactly. Even though they don't deserve it. Jin gets left behind because he's doing something not selfish, trying to keep the freighter from blowing up, Yep. So it's like he could have run to Sun sooner. And they make a specific point about Michael telling him that. Yep. And so it's like that's not
Desmond would have left.
Desmond would have been gone forever ago.
Yeah, see ya, brother.
Penny's on the helicopter. I'm already there.
Yeah, no, bye.
Come on. And so it's like, they want to get back to each other, but they don't have that same level of single-minded selfishness that makes you kind of hate them in some ways.
It almost makes me think now it makes me think that how do you combine or reconcile Desmond's single-minded focus and love of Penny with the idea that he wants to do something big and great and grand and special? And maybe it's the idea that his special thing is being with Penny.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what he needs to realize.
Getting her and having her validates his entire being.
That's the great thing he'll do.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I think that's the idea. He was looking for something, and then he realizes, oh, it was just Penny.
It was Penny.
I shouldn't have left Penny to go do the great thing. That was the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the idea.
That's such a weird story.
Very weird. Very weird.
Yeah, it makes me at some point we got to go through the other characters and see if they actually have character arcs. Because before, if you would have asked me, I would have been like, yeah, Desmond has a character arc.
That's what I had, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, no, he actually doesn't. The first time we see him and the last time we see him, he's pretty much the same character.
On the same page, yeah. Yeah, it's really funny. And in The Flash Sideways, it's never that. It's never not that.
Yeah. Wow.
It's really weird.
All right.
He's like America's sweetheart. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
It almost it makes me want to throw my support behind Lockmore, because I feel like even though he's also selfish, I mean, he gets deeply punished for it.
Yeah.
And so almost too much.
And Locke, he has a single-minded focus, but he also wants to share it, right? He wants to share the specialness of the island with people. I'm sure he wants to be king of the island, but he does want other people to experience the wonder that he thinks is there.
That's true.
That's a little less selfish.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's very interesting how much overlap there is with Desmond and Locke.
It is. It's not a comparison that seemed.
And it's almost like if Desmond never found Penny and just 20, 30 years went by and he was Locke's age, he'd be like Locke.
Mm-hmm.
Even more like Locke, having that trauma of losing his love,
exactly,
would have made him more selfish and stuff. So
yeah, or if Locke had just not gotten the money for for his dad, then and like Helen left him, then like maybe he could have just fixated on Helen and not like.
I agree. I think if he would have been able to keep Helen, that she would have fixed the hole in his life that the dad created. I think that was totally clear that she would have helped him be okay, and his character flaw is that he wasn't willing to take that chance.
Yeah.
That he could be without the dad, when she gives him the choice and all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and so that's the big downfall for him. But it's like, I feel like he still doesn't really deserve that much. Like, so harsh. Spread it around a little.
Yeah.
Jeez.
All right. Well, Catch-22. So I guess the idea is he was in a Catch-22.
Yeah. Is that right? I guess so. Yeah. What was the Catch-22 that maybe the Catch-22 is like he could only see Penny if he let Charlie die. So like it was shitty either way.
Something like that. Yeah, I guess it would be if he lets Charlie die, he'll see her. If he doesn't let Charlie die, he won't see her.
Yeah. And so like it's like something bad happens no matter what he does, and that's a Catch-22 idea, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah, I just don't buy it. I just don't buy that. I
don't buy it, but that's what they're selling, I think.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to go that far with the idea that if he had let Charlie die, it would have been Penny.
Oh, I don't believe it at all. I think it's 100% not true. But I feel like they're at least suggesting that it might be.
I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just like they want to set up that idea, but they don't really want us to think. By the time it's revealed that it's not Penny, mm-hmm. I feel like maybe we're supposed to think that as it's progressing, but once we see it's not Penny, we
shouldn't think that anymore.
We shouldn't think that, oh well, it would have been Penny if Charlie had died.
Okay.
Like that's an extra step that I think I don't want to go that far.
Okay. Because I don't want to go that far either.
That's just changing so much.
Yeah.
And because he's jumping to the wrong conclusions, based on what he saw, right? Like if he had flashes of seeing Penny in the parachute gear, in the flight gear, and Charlie doesn't die, and then he finds her and it's Naomi, then I'm like, okay, yeah, there's the idea. There it is right there.
But they specifically don't show that.
They specifically don't show that, so that means he's specifically assuming it's Penny.
Right.
And that's just I think it's Occam's razor is just a false assumption.
Yeah.
Because he saw a person and he saw a photograph, and it's like, well, in the same situation, if it wasn't Desmond, someone could have saw those two things and thought Desmond's coming to the island. Like, there's two people in the photograph. He's only, he could have just as easily thought I'm coming to the island.
Right.
If it wasn't for the fact that he's himself.
Good point. That story is very lost. I will give it that.
Yeah. No,
that's all those quintessential qualities.
Yeah, you can't really get that on any other show. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's all of those levels are. It's a combination you don't usually find. There should be, like you're saying, like he sees Penny, and then she's not there, or we don't see what he sees. Like it's this weird middle ground where he sees some stuff, but then he extrapolates. And
it's enough. It's enough to, and I think that's where Lost is great at playing around in that confusion, right? Like it's like they show you some stuff, and then they show the character sees some stuff, but it's this gray area where you don't really know how to apply the puzzle pieces because we don't really see who's in the Flash. We don't really see who's in the suit.
Right.
So it's like we know part of the pieces is he's jumping to conclusions, but about which part and like when and like and he's having to deduce things about, you know, what the causality of these situations, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that's where they love to play. That's where they love to tell stories from, is where you're just a little bit removed from simple answers and like straightforward logic. It's throw in a little bit of character's point of view and their perspective and their wishful thinking.
Right. Yeah. And that's like a huge engine of the plot.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like that it wasn't as clear to me at the time what a central role. It used to bother me, actually. It's like, I don't care what they think. I just want to talk about what it is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually like big part of the point is what they think it is.
What they think it is. Yeah.
You know, like that's really something they're focusing on in a way that, it was sort of just like, I want to ignore that. I just want to get to the facts, you know. And it's like, but even facts can be interpreted in different ways.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that's definitely definitely what they like playing around with. And so even if it was a frustrating watch, it was very, very clearly lost.
Yeah, this is, and you know, I think that's not that's definitely one of the reasons why I think Desmond is popular, is because he's such a lost character, and his storylines are all lost storyline. Like,
that's true.
You know, he's got very intense lost centric stuff going on.
You're right. Totally makes sense.
All right. Well, anything else on Catch-22?
I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was kind of frustrating to watch from a knowing what's happening point of view.
Yeah.
But at least we learned something about Desmond. Not the episode didn't specifically talk about that, but it was definitely implicit there, and so I kind of appreciate that. I feel like I understand his character a little better now. So
yeah, nice. We made a little progress on understanding that and how he relates to the other characters. Yeah. I think we could probably spend an hour discussing the Hawking cameo and the picture frame, you know, and like what that means or what it could mean and what it should mean, but it's not.
Well, Miss Hawking will come up later. And she'll meet Desmond later. That hasn't disappeared from the show, so we'll definitely have a chance to talk about that at some point. It's a brief like Easter egg thing here, so you know, this can just be something to incorporate in like whatever we want to say about her in the end, because her story is yet another lost story.
Yep.
Through and through.
All right. Well, until next time, thanks and namaste.
Namaste and good luck.